Hey, what's going on, YouTube? So, I ran into my first problem here. I was under the assumption that the coolant crossover tube is the one that came on the Eagle Summit originally. So it connects from the water pump to the thermostat housing, and then it also has this extended piece that goes into the heater hose and a coolant line. This little nipple right here goes to the coolant line that is for the idle air control valve to get it warmed up. So I thought that these two pipes were the same, and they are almost the same except for this portion here, this part that my thumb and index finger is on is actually rotated this way on the turbo model, on the turbo water pipe, and I'll show you what I'm talking about right there. So and I'll show you what I'm talking about when we get down right here. So let's see if I can position the light, and then we'll zoom. I don't know how well you can see that, but let me get my finger in here to kind of help out with this whole situation. So there's the portion that's supposed to connect into this housing. Now, it's not supposed to go into this hole. This hole is for the thermostat. This part is supposed to, see, it's sealed by an O-ring. This part pushes in under here. See where my finger is? Hello, peekaboo, I see you. Anyways, so this part should be rotated, clocked over here. Now, this kind of pisses me off because, you know, this whole pipe was going to be an addition. It was something that I was telling myself, oh, you know, I'll get it done now while the car is kind of all apart. And it kind of just bit me in the butt, because now it's, you know, the question is, do I just go ahead and reinstall this? And I will have to reopen the cooling system later to have the coolant in and out lines for the turbo. Or option two, there's three options. So there's one. Two is to actually take, it's easier to show here, it's actually take the turbo one, cut the neck off, and then rotate it, and then re-weld it, which kind of seems like a pain, to be quite honest, because of the fact of it just, you know, if it's not clocked right, then it may not, it's not going to sit in the bore properly, like the O-ring will not seal maybe properly, and then I'll have a big coolant leak, and that'll piss me off even more, because then I have to remove the exhaust manifold and open the cooling system again. Or option three is to take these little guys, let me position the light. That's actually pretty good. Take these little guys. So this is one part for the coolant that goes into the turbo. Take this one, lop it off, and then take that one and lop it off, and then match it, essentially clean this tube up, and then just drill holes there and weld those in. Personally, I like that option the most. And if for whatever reason I want to end up using this crossover tube again, what I could always do is then just essentially re-weld this, you know, re-weld new ends on. So effectively, I would have turned this into a turbo crossover tube. And essentially, and again, the whole reason why I'm making all this work for myself, I did not need to do this. This was not part of my maintenance item checklist of things to do. The whole reason why I was doing this is because I don't want to open the cooling system again when I go to install the turbocharger. I just want to have a loop, like a hose that loops from here that goes to here when I don't have the turbo on. And then when I put the turbo on, essentially I'll pop the hose out. I'll have a substantially less, smaller, diameter, smaller opening for flow. And I can quickly plug that with something while I do the turbo stuff. And then I can, take the plug off, put the hose on, and then, route it to the turbo really quickly. And then that way I don't lose as much coolant and I don't make a huge mess on the ground. I don't know why I just hate opening the cooling systems, but it's just annoying. So I tried making a time-lapse video of me making some automatic trans oil lines, cooler lines. So you have the automatic transmission that has a trans oil cooler that's integrated into the radiator. So here's the new radiator, and your inlet and outlet for your cooler for the heat exchanger for the radiator is built into the radiator. For the transmission is built into the radiator. Here's an inlet or outlet, and then here's another one that I have. Whoa. That won't be edited out. And then here's another one. I just have a hose over it right now. Sorry, I should have brought my flashlight over, but oh well. So anywho, I tried recording a time lapse of me creating these lovely lines that I made, and the time lapse video didn't go as planned. I wasn't really in frame, and it kind of sucked. So I don't think you guys will be seeing that because you really can't see much of anything. But anyways, what I wanted to quickly just show you is that this line would go, so I just have them looped just so no junk gets inside of them. I don't know which one is inlet and outlet. I just know where they go into the radiator. This short guy that I bent up though, this one goes into this port here, and it will sit from there. There we go. It'll pretty much sit just like that. So that ended up being really nice. And then this one, which I was pretty proud of, it'll actually go from all the way there, and then so it actually sits like this. So it goes across, it actually goes underneath the small one I just showed you. It goes up, and you can see, kind of goes, try to contour it around the trans as much as I can. This line actually sits underneath this this power, that is the 12 volt wire that leads to the starter. The battery cable that leads to the starter, sorry. And then it goes here, and then it runs along the shifter linkage from inside the vehicle. This is the part that when you move your gear selector for your auto, this whole mechanism will move, back and forth, and that'll change your gears, and then it ends, it'll end right there. So yeah, I was pretty proud of that. Again, it didn't come out that great. I actually when I first made this line, I messed up. So this is actually take number 2. I accidentally mismeasured. I was about an inch off on this section that I have my hand on. So you can see it comes from the radiator and then makes a 90 to go this way. And this portion that I have my left hand on was an inch too long, and then actually hit the transmission, and I couldn't unbend it. At least I have no way. I've tried bending these things back straight, and once you bend these brake lines, they're bent. This does look like a kink. All right, maybe that helps. Oh wait, it does look like a kink on camera, but I assure you it's not that bad. So I wanted to show you guys, this is the original radiator. Now, this radiator I'm replacing, but I've never seen a radiator this bad before. This thing did not leak a single drop, and it has no cooling fins in between the rows, or in between the columns that the coolant flows down. So I have never seen that before. I've showed this actually to a couple people, and they have never seen that before either. They thought that was pretty impressive as to how corroded the copper had become. And these copper fins are so soft that, yeah, you can just pretty much, so you can see this column. Usually they put up a bit more of a fight than that. Let me see if I can find some better ones. Here we go. Here's some nicer ones. It's considerably harder to press that in. These actually, these are actually turning into dust. Like they're crumbling away. So essentially whatever glue was holding them in between the I don't know what these things are called. I'm just going to call them the water columns within the radiator. Whatever was holding them in there has disintegrated, and the copper starts to delaminate, and then essentially, you get these lovely blue crumbles, and that's just corrosion, copper corrosion. Yeah, so I just wanted to show you guys that. I thought that was really interesting. Again, never seen a radiator like that before, and just wanted to share it with you guys. So I just wanted to end the video with showing you guys a couple time lapses from the other night of me working on the car. I was cleaning some gasket, and I also I pretty much cleaned a bunch of gasket surfaces. And then I also fitted the turbo manifold, and with that had the turbine housing attached to it, and I put the slim fan that I have in there as well to see how well it fit. And yeah, and I think I also have a little time lapse in there of me cleaning the exhaust manifold up a bit. But I am gonna tell you guys, so you may cringe at what the time lapse I'm about to show you, but essentially I used a wire wheel to clean up this steel exhaust manifold gasket, and steel gaskets are reusable in my, and I think a lot of people agree that they are. Maybe not, actually, yeah, even steel head gaskets are reusable. You just got to clean them up. And I had a lot of RTV on this, a lot of copper, RTV. And the only reason why I did that is because there are some pits, some minor pits on the cylinder head, and then there's also pitting that's on the exhaust manifold. So the reason why you'll see a lot of RTV on the exhaust gasket is because there's the pitting that I'm trying to fill in with sealer. Now, you can absolutely do that. And the other thing too is that you may ask yourself, well, if you're just going to glue it together with copper RTV, why even include this gasket? I have no answer. This has some level of thickness to it. This has some level of thickness to it, so it just eats up more dead space, essentially, so I don't have to use as much copper RTV. But the copper RTV there is just to be, just to use to fill in the gaps for the pitting on the cylinder head and the exhaust manifold. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the time lapses. And again, thank you very much for, oh gosh, man. I really hope that my new camera that I get in soon doesn't focuses a lot nicer. I have to keep tapping my phone to focus this thing. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you guys all soon in the next episode. Hopefully, my goal this weekend is to finish all this up finish this up and get it driving again with the maintenance items all finished. And yeah, talk to you guys.